Hi, and welcome to Cat Run Figures. I'm your host, Caitlin, and today we are going to be reviewing Red Sonja issue 3. So, what we've seen in this comic, Red Sonja has been thrust into our world, and it's quite different than the one she left behind. She is still after Garth, and she has thankfully found a friend in the form of Max. Max, who is probably one of the only ones who can understand her in her native tongue. So, getting back on into the comic, we see Red Sonja's had a bath, and the art team was very strategic in their placing there. So there's no actual nudity there. But she's going through discussing how different our world, our time is versus her own. And the fact that being at Max's apartment is very similar to being at the Grand Bazaar and all of the beautiful things and trinkets and luxuries there. And then she goes through what it was like when the Grand Bazaar was destroyed. So back in the current timeline with everything, we get to see once again where we left him. Max is being attacked outside his apartment, and he was taking out the trash, so literally the only thing he has to defend himself with is the trash can lid and a trash bag. So he's ready to throw down. He's ready to throw down, and he's telling them all that he's a police officer. And thankfully, Red Sonja is dressed, and she is down to help Max, her friend Max.
Wait,
and
that's dressed? Well, I mean, legally that's dressed.
For her, that is very covered. That is very covered for her. But she knows them all to be agents of Goth. So she jumps in to strike. And I love it because Max is like, wait a minute, is that one of my swords? And she says, yes. And he tells her, he's like, that's an antique. You're going to ruin it. And she's talking about how the blade will serve her well and everything since hers are gone. And I love it. She takes his bike. And he's like, you don't even know how to drive one of these things. And she's like, I learn quite quickly. She's like, and no one, what does she say? No one drives Red Sonja. So she drives the motorcycle, and she's apparently a little speed demon. And just pissing off a number of motorists throughout. So he takes her back to the very same bar that she went through an entire just barrage of drinks at last time. So the bartender there says if she's looking for a Starbucks, it's down the corner because they're closed. So she's asking whether or not they're there to pay up her tab, and he says, fine. He'll cover everything that she drank on one condition. She has to babysit her for a couple hours. So yeah, he's going to be dropping off Red Sonja for a little bit. Also, he says no drinking. So I love it. She sits down on a stool, and she's instantly she wants to try this craft beer that she sees a sign for. And it's like, girl, we need to talk. So she forces her to put on a bunch of her workout clothes because she's discussing the fact that she needs to fit in with everything else that's around her. And, you know, she needs to not draw as much attention as she is currently, especially if she's trying to lay low from some bad things that are going on right now. And she's saying these clothes, they don't protect anything. What she needs, armor. What's this strange fabric supposed to do to help her with? And she's like, come on now. She's like, this doesn't protect you. So she's going through and she's like, is this real chainmail? And she's like, yes. Yes, it is. So I love it because when Max shows up, she's wearing all of the bartender's yoga gear and saying, wow, she cleans up nicely. She looks different. So Max has gotten her swords back. And when they say that she is Hytherian, is that how you pronounce it? Hycurian? I suck at pronunciation. Don't hate me for it. But thankfully, the bartender has a friend who, astoundingly, apparently, is an expert of all things Hycurian. So she takes her to the university, and Red Sonja is pressing her hands up on all the glass and looking at all the weapons and just the armored adornments and such. And she's saying, could it really have been so much time? This all looks so familiar to her, like it was just yesterday. This is all everything to her. So the bartender introduces her to a friend of hers whose name is Holly, and she's going through everything about Red Sonja. So Holly's freaking out over Red Sonja's original costume and all of her weapons. And she's saying, you speak Hycurian? So they're going through the whole language and everything because, she studied it for years. And she could know everything that she's ever wanted to know about the culture by speaking with her. So they end up going to into a little bit of an agreement that they're going to discuss all sorts of things. And that's when Red Sonja sees a picture of Cal Goth. And come to find out, in our current timeline, Goth has taken over a number of different things, including the university. He is a huge benefactor for it. And, of course, Red Sonja wants to go after him. And ultimately, they come up to a deal that they're going to go to the Hyborian Studies annual dinner because he's going to be there. And she is going to show once and for all how truly evil this man is. So Holly and a number of her friends in her major are all cosplaying to fit the timed theme of the dinner. Well, she manages to smuggle Red Sonja in, and I love it because they go to hand her a tray, and she says, "Nay, Sonja is no servant." So Holly apologizes and takes the tray, saying that her friend really gets into the whole act. But I love it. Sonja's walking around, and there are all these agents of Goth that are seeing her, and they're saying that she's shown. They're gonna take her alive if possible, but they are going to deal with it. So Max makes her promise that she is not going to kill anyone. He wants her to deal with this as best she can, but if she has any chance, please, no killing. So she agrees. She understands his position, and she will do her best, Sir Max, not to kill. So she walks right into an ambush of Goth agents, and she starts taking them out one by one. And she says, just for Max, she's not going to kill. So Max even gets in on the fight, and Max almost gets really injured, but Sonja saves him, and she knocks out the guy that was going to kill Max. And she says, "See, Sir Max, I did not kill. I killed no one." But she's very proud of that. She's completely abiding by his rules until finally we get to see Cal Goth. And this is where we end off on this issue of Red Sonja. He's there with his evil power amulet and all his thugs behind him. And next issue, we are hopefully going to see Red Sonja and Goth face off against each other. So yeah, I've really been enjoying this new story arc for Red Sonja, this new current series. I'm loving the art throughout. I feel like it's written very well. I love the fact that she was thrown into our timeline and she's kind of dealing with the whole being a fish out of water scenario. But she's Red Sonja, so she's gonna be a badass about it. Also, another thing to love are the Scott Campbell covers. My gosh. But yeah, so give me a like if you like this review, comment below and tell me whether or not you're currently reading Red Sonja and if you're enjoying it as much as I am. Subscribe to my channel for more comic book content or check out any of the older videos I have up for offer here on Cat Run Figures. And until next time, I'm your host Caitlin. Bye.